Hey, what's going on guys? Welcome back to the channel. If you're new around here, my name is Zephr, and in today's video we're starting a new series. So I wanted to make something fresh, something new that I've not done on the channel yet. A lot of my channel is just building crazy teams or good teams or meta teams and, you know, playing ranked ladder. I wanted to start a new series that's kind of the same thing but more interesting. So what we're starting to do from today, at least once a week, is start building with semi-decent, potentially good Pokemon. You know, we're going to start testing what Pokemon are actually viable into the current metagame, what can actually work, and see, well, if they don't work, they don't work. If they do work, they do work. But that's going to be the interesting thing about this series, you know? So, and in today's video, we're going to be using Copperajah, which is not a Pokemon that many people use at all, but it is surprisingly viable into the metagame, you know? You've got a lot of fairy Pokemon running around, like Flutter Mane, Cresselia, Terra types into fairy. You've got a lot of Pokemon like Iron Hands that are in the mix. You've got Among Us. Copperajah can actually deal with all of these things super effectively. You do have to go hard Trick Room with it. You can run some fast Pokemon, like as you can see on my team, I've got Flutter Mane and Gyarados, but primarily you want to run hard Trick Room. But this thing can hit like a truck and is a ton of fun to use and is actually super impressive when you do well with it. So yeah, let's get into it. Let's break down the team. So to start things off, we have none other than Copperajah, obviously, you know, the star of this video. So Copperajah has an insane attack stat. It has reasonable defense. It has kind of mid special defense. It's got an amazing HP stat, but it's obviously got absolutely dreadful speed. So as I said, you have to run it with Trick Room, but the damage that this thing can do is insane. So you get Sheer Force, which obviously most of you know from Landorus and Karna. If you don't, Sheer Force boosts moves that have secondary effects. So Iron Head flinches, for example. It takes the flinch effect away, but it boosts the damage of the move by 1.3 times. And what some people don't realize, and I only learned from Gentle, is that Sheer Force actually synergizes with Life Orb. So you get 1.6 times damage, which is crazy. And Life Orb doesn't actually do damage to Copperajah when it uses a move like Iron Head or Zen Headbutt. It actually just kind of lets it do its thing. So you get this free extra 1.3 times damage on top of the damage you're already gaining from the ability. And Copperajah 252 Adamant is dealing, I think its base stat is 200 when you've got those all added up, which is actually insane. I had a couple Intimidates down on me just now from a Ceruledge. Not from a Ceruledge. I had a couple Intimidates down on me from a Landorus into a Ceruledge, and I high horsepowered that thing, and I took it down by half HP, and it had 3 bulk ups down, so it had +3 defense. That is ridiculous. And to say like Copperajah can do that is phenomenal. It's a ton of fun to use, I can't lie to you. It is a bit of a Terra Hog. You do have to really play around it, but when you get this thing going, it's so much fun, honestly. So for the Terra, we've chosen Terra Water. When we go into the calcs in a minute, you'll understand a bit more why we chose Terra Water and not, say, Terra Flying, or what else did we opt for? We also opted for something else. I can't remember straight on the spot. We also looked at another Terra, but it ended up being Terra Water. This is mainly because of Urshifu and because of other things in the common metagame as well that can hit this thing really hard. Water kind of mitigates that damage. Yes, it does make it weak to things like Iron Hands and like this grass Terra Flutter Mane that I'm using, but you're not going to see those things much before you see them by hitting them with a high horsepower and murdering them. So the moveset here is Iron Heads because it's Copperajah's main form of stab. With all the damage implications that you get in from Sheer Force and Life Orb, this thing hits like this Iron Head hits like an actual nuke. It's crazy. Flutter Mane just dies. Terra Fairy Crest dies. I knocked out a boosted Tatsugiri Dondozo with 3 Iron Heads earlier, which was insane. So yeah, self-explanatory. Zen Headbutt is a bit of an odd move here. I bet you're wondering why we're using that, but we're mainly using Zen Headbutt because it deals with Among Us as well as Urshifu. You could use Play Rough, but Play Rough isn't really doing a lot to Among Us, and Among Us can be a huge threat for this team considering it can function Trick Room. So Zen Headbutt being the actual move we chose, and it's also got a additional effect, so it gets that Sheer Force boost as well, which is crazy. This thing can actually OHKO Among Us, as we'll go into in the calcs in a short while. High horsepower because it's not a stab move, but ground is a really, really great offensive type. A lot of the things that are going to want to threaten Copperajah when it Terra Waters are, as I said already, Iron Hands and other electric types. High horsepower allows you to deal with those things, and very, very well. You can OHKO a lot of Pokemon with that. It's insane. 95 base damage into 200 plus Life Orb is crazy. And Protect, because you want to actually be able to play Protect around some of the Pokemon you're going to face with this Pokemon. Obviously, Urshifu, Water, will be able to hit through that, but Surging Strikes into Terra Water Copperajah is going to do almost nothing. So yeah, let's get into some of the calcs. I'll show you some of the actual information and some of the calculations we did into a lot of the current meta Pokemon that were mainly threatening to this team, and so you can see like some of the actual information, because I can go on about it, but actually being able to see the information for yourself and see how much analyzing went into making this Pokemon for this team is a lot more interesting and is a lot more better for you, because you can actually see that it works and how it works. Okay, so there's a ton of information here, like, and all this information is valuable, I promise you. Me and Gentle did a ton of calculating with this Pokemon, because it's not necessarily an easy Pokemon to use, but it is usable, and it is surprisingly good into a lot of the Regulation D matchups. Oh, as said already, like, this Pokemon is not going to win you tournaments, it's not going to win you tons of games, but this series is about testing Pokemon that aren't bad, aren't good, sit in that middle bracket and seeing how well they can actually play into, you know, a lot of the current metagame. So, okay, so as I've already said, this is a lot of the key matchups. You've got things like Ursaluna, Flutter Mane, Urshifu, Cresselia, Among Us. Among Us is very important, and Landorus. Landorus is kind of just there, but like with Urshifu, for instance, you know, if you're running into Mystic Water, Terra Water, Urshifu, it is going to hurt. If you don't Terra, it's going to really, really hurt, but you're going to be able to live it very, very well with Terra Water Copperajah, so, you know, you're going to get 2-hit KO'd, but this is why you run Zen Headbutt, so you can just swing at this thing, you know, so, where is it? Sheer Force, Terra Water, Copperajah, Zen Headbutt into 4 HP, Urshifu Rapid Strike, 81% chance to OHKO. That is insane. A Copperajah's damage output is insane, right? And as you can see from these calcs, you know, close combat into Terra Water is not going to OHKO you. You're going to live that, and that's crazy. You're also going to live a Surging Strikes when you're Terra Water. You're not very likely to live it if you don't Terra Water. Copperajah is a bit of a Terra Hog, but that, you know, it's kind of expected. It's not a meta-defining Pokemon. Then you look at Flutter Mane. You know, Flutter Mane is not going to do anything to you with any form of Fairy move, which is Moonblast and Dazzling Gleam, two of its mainly used moves. Shadow Ball is going to hurt a bit. It's going to calculate for about 60-70%, so that sucks, and that's with choice specs, but that's still livable. And then if you're in Trick Room, you can turn around and Iron Head the thing, and it dies. It's as simple as that. Ursaluna is a bit spooky as well, so like, you know, Guts Earthquake into normal Copperajah is going to murder Copperajah. But into Terra Water Copperajah, it's going to do about 60-72% of a, you know, you're going to get 2-hit KO, which is insane. Terra Water is an insane Terra type for Copperajah. It allows it to live a ton of hits that it never usually would in a million years as a Steel type. And it just allows it to be aggressive in Trick Room as well, against a lot of the main meta-defining Pokemon that are in Regulation D. And then you've got things like, you know, 2/5/2 attack, Sheer Force, Life Orb, Copperajah, Iron Head versus Ursaluna. Guaranteed 2-hit KO after burn damage. That's insane. Even Guts Facade Ursaluna against Terra Water Copperajah is not going to 1-hit KO this thing, which is absolutely crazy. And the fact that you can take 2 hits and actually turn around and knock this thing out is mental. You can also swap in Gyarados to intimidate this thing, to drop it even further, to make it even less of a threat. So Ursaluna is very valid in the matchup, but if you Terra Water, once again, you're fine. So, you know, Urshifu's not too much of an issue. Flutter Mane's not too much of an issue. Ursaluna's not too much of an issue. In a fight with a Cress, it's going to be eating your hits. But if it Terra Fairies early in the game, one Iron Head with Helping Hand from our Cress is going to murder that thing in 1 hit, which is insane considering Cress is one of the bulkiest Pokemon to exist ever. And the main reason you run Zen Headbutt isn't just for Urshifu, it's for this silly little bugger. Because this thing will cause you a ton of issues, especially since it can function in Trick Room, right? But if you go 2/5/2, attack, Life Orb, Sheer Force, Copperajah with Helping Hand from Cress into the common Among Us, you're going to OHKO it if it's not Terra'd. And that is madness. And then, you know, Among Us Pollen Puff is going to do nothing to Copperajah, as Gentle noted. Possibly the worst move ever. And Among Us is literally the reason to use Zen Headbutt over Play Rough. You know, Play Rough is a great move, but one, it's no, actually, I was going to say it's less accurate than Zen Headbutt, but they have the same accuracy. But Zen Headbutt is going to hit Among Us and Urshifu, and it's not going to hit Among Us half. Play Rough is not going to hit Among Us at all. Zen Headbutt allows you to take the KO on this thing and actually win. So, yeah. And the Landorus calcs are there. You can read them if you want. I didn't actually do these calcs to Jen. He's kind of done them himself, which is really impressive. I love you, Jen. But yeah, all of this information is available here. I'm going to slowly scroll through it. So if you want to read any of it, you can pause at any time and it's all there, you know. These are all worthwhile calcs reading. So you can actually see the math for yourself and you can see that Copperajah can actually deal with a ton of the metagame, which is funny. Okay, so now that we're back from here, let's move on to the next Pokemon. So next we are using Gyarados. This is a Gyarados I've used a lot. This is Gentle's Gyarados. This is his pride and joy work of Scarlet and Violet, and it is completely, absolutely deserved. It's such a good Gary compared to the typical one that a lot of people use. This has a different spread and it's so good. I still think Gyarados is one of the best Intimidate Pokemon that exists in the format. It can sit there and take hits from almost anything. Flutter Mane. Iron Hands obviously is not going to be the most viable thing, but even as I said, Flutter Mane is probably the most prominent Pokemon in the whole of the metagame. It's going to take a good couple hits from that thing, so that kind of proves it in itself. It also allows you to deal with, once again, Urshifu Rapid Strikes, because you can switch it in, holding the Rocky Helmet, and Urshifu is going to do like 50% damage to itself if you predict that correctly in the game. Intimidate is a huge valuable ability as it is, as we all know, because it lowers the attack stat of the opposing Pokemon by 1. This thing can just be annoying for your opponent anyway, and they're going to want to deal with it if it's completely mitigating a lot of their damage. And then we've got the Terra Steel type, so that, you know, Rock as an offensive type isn't going to do a ton to Gyarados. You're also going to be able to get away from that electric weakness that Gyarados has. Not infinitely, but you're going to do infinitely better against it. And then we have Waterfall as Gyarados' main form of stab. 100% accurate, 80 base damage, stab, and also has 30% chance to flinch. I've actually won games using Thunder Wave and Waterfall Gyarados 1v1 from flinch and Thunder Hacks, which is crazy. Taunt, because Taunt is crazy good on Gyarados. I shut down that Cerulege I was talking about earlier continuously. You can shut down your opponent anti-trick grooming, you can shut down setup Pokemon. Taunt is just valuable in itself, and then Protect, because you want to be able to play the Protect game with your opponent. So the premier Trick Room setup we chose for this team is Cresselia. It goes without saying, Cresselia is one of the best Trick Room capable Pokemon in the game. It's got Lunar Blessing, which allows you to continuously heal your own Pokemon, and heal status conditions, so you can completely get rid of Thunder Waves, you can get rid of Sleep, all that sort of stuff, which are all very prominent in the format and very scary. This isn't the main reason this Cresselia runs Safety Goggles, so that it can get spored by an Among Us and that be shut down entirely. You can use Mental Herb, Safety Goggles, Covert Cloak. I've tried Covert Cloak, but to be honest, I think Safety Goggles is the best fit for this team, considering Among Us being such a huge threat in Trick Room. Fairy Terror is the Terror type that everyone is using on Cresselia because it's just so good, and it takes away that Ghost and Darkness weakness that Cresselia absolutely fears and allows it to live a lot of those hits. It can be your Wing Claws in a lot of games. It is super important. Moonblast is there because Moonblast is a ridiculous move. 95 base damage is nothing to yawn at. Fairy Terror also boosts that. It can deal formidable damage on its own with those sorts of capabilities. This Crest is running Helping Hand to give Copperajah that little bit of buff when it needs it to be able to take Cocos or do massive amounts of damage. If Iron Hands isn't doing that, or Flutter, or Gary, or Ursa, whatever is on the field, Helping Hand is a super useful move overall. It came down to Helping Hand over... What was the move we were going to use? It doesn't matter, but Helping Hand came in and became the move we were going to use here for, as reasons described. Lunar Blessing is self-explanatory. As I said already, it lets you gain HP back, it heals status conditions, it gives your Pokemon longevity, and then Trick Room, because this team needs to be going first, and Trick Room is the way you're going to do that, so yeah. So for once, we're going to talk about Flutter Mane, because this one is very different to what I usually run. I'm pretty sure it's the same EVs as I usually run, but it's actually Terra Grass. So the one thing this team lacks entirely is grass, and at Worlds, a lot of grass Flutter Mane was actually being used as a counter to things like Ursaluna, water types, that sort of jazz. I wasn't really thinking about it. This was gentle suggestion. This thing is very good, and your opponent, especially on ladder, is not going to be expecting you to have grass Flutter Mane a lot of the time. So, you know, when they're using water Pokemon, ground Pokemon, that you can Terra Grass this thing and it can go nuclear. Choice Specs is the choice here because Flutter Mane has insane damage capabilities, and Choice Specs just boosts that further. And then we've got the typical Dazzling Gleam, Shadow Ball, Moonblast, but we've got Energy Ball, obviously, to utilize that grass terrestrialization and to be able to deal with threats for Copperajah and Iron Hands primarily. It wouldn't be a Trick Room team without having Ursaluna on it. Ursaluna is the backup here because obviously not every single game you're going to want to bring Copperajah with this team. Ursaluna is just broken. There's nothing else to say about it. Guts gives you a double damage, basically. Flame Orb lets you get the burn, and then Facade is 140 base power plus all the stack on top. 252, 252 HP, so it can live hits, and 252 attack, so that it can smash things. Brave Nature, so it's slow, and it gains even more in the attack. This Ursaluna for this team actually has 0 speed IVs. This is a completely legit Ursaluna that I bred and had to run around for an hour to get a peak block for, which is ridiculous, but I did it, so it's done with. Ursaluna is the absolute honking, disgusting Trick Room sweeper that your opponent does not want to see. If they see this Pokemon, they are going to be targeting it, they're going to be going after it, they're going to be absolutely terrified of it because of the capability of this Pokemon. This Pokemon can almost kill anything in the game. It's so dumb, and I've talked about it before, so I'm not going to keep going on about it now. We've got Water Terror, so that once again, Urshifu Rapid Strike seems to be a common denominator in all of these teams currently. can't just destroy this thing, and it can turn around and knock it out instead. Facade, because it doubles damage when you've got a status condition, so that stack with Guts is like 140 base power plus and is absolutely disgusting. High horsepower, because it's good ground damage. It's stab for Ursaluna, and it's not headlong rush, so you're not going to take a defense and special defense drop, which is something this Ursaluna really doesn't want to take because it's got no bulk besides HP. Earthquake, because you've got Gyarados and Cresselia on the team, so you've got two Pokemon that completely avoid that, and you can just launch Earthquake into your opponent and do tons of damage to both of their Pokemon, potentially KOing them, and then Protect, so you can play that mind game with your opponent as well. And yeah, this Pokemon is broken. If you don't want to bring Copper, you can bring Ursaluna, and it's probably going to do more work than Copper, but Copper is the main star of this team, and it's more fun to use. And finally, we've got Iron Hand, a Pokemon I've used a ton of, a Pokemon most VGC players have used a ton of. This thing needs no introduction like Flutter Mane does. Flutter Mane and Iron Hands are probably two of the most meta-defining Pokemon we've had in Scarlet and Violet. Iron Hands has an insane amount of bulk. It is like a literal brick wall. It's hard to take out. You give it Assault Vest, it's even eating hits from Choice Specs Moonblast. Flutter Mane with the EV spread it's got here. It can do insane amounts of damage. It has access to Fake Out, so it can flinch your opponent's Pokemon on turn 1, so you can make that play around what they're trying to do with their team. Drain Punch gives it longevity. It lets it gain HP back. It does a ton of damage. It just keeps Iron Hands around longer and just causes your opponent many issues. Wild Charge, because it can one-hit KO Gyarados, as well as a ton of other water types and fire types that are in the meta game right now, like Tornadoes, for example. And then Heavy Slam, because a lot of the time you're trying to fill the 4th move slot with your Iron Hands. Heavy Slam has become my personal favorite. Volt Switch is good as well, but Heavy Slam is primarily to deal with your opponent's Flutter Mane if, say, Copperajah isn't there, or you can't do it with anything else. Iron Hands is just like, boop, sit on your Flutter Mane, dead. And that is the team breakdown, guys. So, as said, most of these Pokemon function in Trick Room. You don't really want to not have Trick Room up. Flutter Mane and Gyarados can function without Trick Room. They function better without it, but also they are there mainly to support the Trick Room set, so that you can actually set Trick Room up, get Pokemon on the field, and start smashing your opponent with them. So, yeah, this team is a ton of fun to use. I'm here to show you that Copperajah is playable and that it is strangely viable into the metagame with all the Pokemon that run around that are super weak to it right now. I hope you use the team. I hope you have fun using the team if you do use it. As per usual, the code is in the top corner. I'll put it in the description, as well as the Pokepaste for all the EVs, movesets, all that sort of stuff. If Gentle agrees, I will also put the information for all the calculations and such into the description as well, so you have that information available to you as well, rather than having to pause the video and read and blah blah blah. And yeah, that's really been about it. So I hope you enjoyed today's video, guys. If you do, subscribe. We're so close to 600 subs. I'd really appreciate it. It means the world to me. We're that close to also being able to get memberships on the channel, so watch the whole video through and yeah, support me. I love you all so much for that. If you're not already, turn your post notifications on so that you don't miss any videos like this from me whenever I post. Leave a like on the video because that really helps the YouTube algorithm and pushes us further and further up. We've been seeing so much growth recently. It's fathomable. It's unfathomable to see. It motivates me so much. It makes me so happy, and I'm glad you guys enjoy the content. And leave a comment on what you think of Copperajah if you use it, and you know, if you enjoy the team, if you had issues with the team, what you think the team could do better. I don't think there really is like a better team version than this, but if you have recommendations, let me know. And without further ado, let's get into some games. So I've been Scarlet Zephr. I'm here to prove to you that Copperajah is a good Pokemon. I'm a Copperajah believer, and I hope you see it in today's video. So yeah, thank you so much. I love you all, and I will see you in the next video. Peace. I genuinely cannot wait for my opponent to see my team, see Copperajah, and be like, what is this guy doing? My opponent probably expects that I've brought Ursaluna. He doesn't know that I have the Elephant Garganacl Dragonite. Very odd play. Okay. Respect it. That's fair enough. I'm not gonna fall for this. We're gonna Dazzle and Gleam here, and we're gonna fake out this Garganacl first turn, because I fully expect that this Dragonite is in a focus, because most of them are in a focus these days. If it's multi-scale, I'm fine with that also, but I'm not gonna play to what could be potential. Yeah, of course you Terra here. The question is, what do you Terra? Like, turn 1 Terras are always awkward, I find. Dragonite, okay, so you really value this Pokemon. Normal? Yeah, normal, that's fine. You're going to take a ton of damage here still from Dazzle and Gleam, even if it's not super effective. I expect it. Yeah, it's got to be in a focus then. E-speed into my Iron Hands, that's fine. I think what you have to remember is you only just did, what? Oh, it is multi-scale. Okay, right. You did about 110. So my Iron Hands can now punch your dragon into the next realm. Right, so let's go. I could even go Terra Grass Energy Ball here. I love this tech that Jen told me to run. But no, I think actually what we're going to do is we're going to flip over into Cresselia here, find an opening for Flutter Mane later, and we're just going to Drain Punch the Dragonite. I expect you brought Garganacl because of my Trick Room, which is fine, but most of my Pokemon beat your Garganacl anyway. That might have been a very awkward swap. Flutter Mane, yeah, that's fair. I'm still going to punch your Dragonite right now. There's no way unless you crit, right? Oh my god, lovely Iron Hand. Right, Iron Hand, send this thing back to the Shadow Realm, please. Thank you. This does lead me to believe, though, that it is quite possible that Crest has to be my Terror here. But do you attack my Crest? That's the question, like, or do you value taking out my Iron Hands? Because Copperajah can deal with Flutter Mane easily. Right, this is Copperajah food. And to be honest, am I seeing a reason to, like, Terrestrialize Copperajah right now? Maybe in a bit. But not right now. We're definitely land... Oh, I don't know. Maybe Fairy Terror is value here, right? I think Fairy Terror is value here, right? Fairy Terror, because we wanna get Trick Room up, and then my Pokemon can really flourish in the Trick Room, right? So I'm going to bring Copperajah in here. I won't be surprised to see Garganacl Salt Cure my Crest. I won't be surprised to see Flutter Mane, Shadow Ball, or Dazzling Gleam, but I'd expect Dazzling Gleam if you want to take out my hands. Little does he know that we have the elephant. The funny elephant. The elephant in the room. I really, really like this. This is like my favourite sort of like building as a content creator. Like building around cool Pokemon that are decent, but not great. And making them work in the current metagame. Moonblast, I expected that. But damn, that still did a lot of damage to Copperajah, but this Salt Cure was fully expected, so that's huge. Crest is going to get off the Trick Room now, and then we can just Lunar Blessing my Copperajah as much as we want. That Flutter Mane is going to die this turn. And to be honest, my Crest really isn't that fussed about Salt Cure. And if it comes... I think maybe taking out Garganacl was more valuable here, to be fair. Taking out Garganacl and Lunar Blessing. Yes. Right, let's do that. And let's go Iron Head. Do I want an Iron Head or do I want a High Horsepower? I kind of feel like Iron Head is more valuable. We're going to Iron Head the Garganacl. Because I expect you to swap Flutter Mane out. Yeah, there we go. Sweet. So this is just free damage into Garganacl here. And a free Lunar Blessing. Iron Hands, I mean, that's cool. Problem is that my Elephant underspeeds your stupid hands. So, yeah. Copperajah is going nuclear this game. I love it. This is so sick. Fairy Terror Crest was the correct play here. That was my win condition, was keeping Crest up. Right, this Salt Cure really does not bother us at all. I have to play for... What do I want to do here? Like, I could bring Hand back in. I can bring Flutter back in. I don't think any of that really matters, though. I feel like playing for... We go Helping Hand, Copperajah, High Horsepower into the hand. Unless you fake out... You still can't get rid of my Copperajah. Like, my Copperajah is just going to eat both your Pokemon now. Like, both your Pokemon... Like, yeah, there we go. Copperajah wins just like that. That's absolutely ridiculous. Like, most of those Pokemon being very highly rated, competitively viable Regulation Demons. Iron Hands, Flutter Mane... what else was there? I forget because they all died so quickly. Dragonite, like... Copperajah just came in and nuked. Imagine the scariest Pokemon in the whole metagame, the Flutter Mane. Is terrified. The Copperajah. So funny. I feel like I can actually go for it here as well. Like, Urshifu's... There's no way Urshifu's actually gonna... So we're gonna Iron Head this Flutter Mane and we're gonna fake out this Urshifu right now. I really do not care. Copperajah Iron Head into Flutter Mane. Okay, Flutter Mane goes. What comes in instead? Gastrodon. Gastrodon's not gonna care as much about an Iron Head. It's still not gonna want to take an Iron Head though. So, yeah. What are you more scared of here though? Like, that's my question. Like, I need to make the right switch here, right? However, actually, I don't think I do, because Storm Drain is just going to eat any attack here. So this combo really isn't actually that good. Like, my opponent is hard throwing this right now. I'm going to go Terra Water. Urshifu's going to get knocked out unconsciously. And we're going to... Do we need to do anything here? I feel like I can bring Cress in for free here. I feel like I just bring Gary in, though, just to try and avert this arm. Yeah, I'm going to bring Gary in here just to try and catch this Urshifu off guard as well. Urshifu's going to leave. Rillaboom's going to come in. Rillaboom's still not going to appreciate his end button here. Grassy Surge is kind of cool. Gyarados comes out, so we get an Intimidate on this Rillaboom as well. So my opponent is running Flutter, Rilla, Gastrodon, and Urshifu. So this is actually okay with me, fully. I don't even need to use Gyarados aggressively here. This Terra now sucks for me. I need to deal with Rillaboom now. So I need to get hands back to the field, start working this Rillaboom down. LOL, get red, boy. Zen Headbutt Elephant go brrrr. Rillaboom hates it here. I actually think the value here is clicking Protect and Thunder Waving this Rillaboom. Because surely you don't Fake Out, surely you just Wood Hammer. There's no way you don't go after my Copper here, right? Fake Out is such a waste here, unless you go Fake Out Yawn. That's a good play itself, but you've got a Water Terror Elephant standing in front of you. Surely you want to hit it, right? Right, let's see where you're targeting. Oh, you do go after my Gary. Okay, right, so what's the... Rocky Helmet's going to get some chip there. Rillaboom was already feeling it, so he wasn't enjoying that. Earth Power Gastrodon into my Copper this turn. That's probably a good play, because my Copperajah is not great special defensively, which sucks, but that's just the way of it, so... But, here, we can just go... Cresselia, and we can go Thunder Wave into this Rilla, right? And next turn we're going to taunt this Gastrodon, so it has to just keep spamming at moves. Because I don't know if it's got Yawn, and I don't particularly want to get Yawn. It's not on my to-do list, for sure. Getting Trick Room up here is absolutely phenomenal if we can. Earth Power's not going to hit my Cress either. Thunder Wave on this Rilla is huge. Playing like a mechanical genius. Yeah, he finally gave into Temptation, but Crest really does not care about that whatsoever. Rillaboom's just getting worn down here, and this Gastrodon's just getting red. Like, this Gastrodon does not have choice specs, but it's playing like it has choice specs. Right, let's go Trick Room and bring my boy back in. Copperajah needs to come out when Rillaboom is gone. Gyarados needs to stay hidden so we can deal with Urshifu if it comes to it. Helping Hand. What are we going after here? What's the play? That depends if this Rilla even gets to move. Like, knock off, that's going to hurt. But we're going to get the Trick Room off, so it really does not matter. Meow. And my first turn here is going to be spent Fake Out in that Gastrodon and pressing Lunar Blessing to get my boy back up. Alright, so let's go Lunar Blessing. Let's go Fake Out into... Do I want to Fake Out this Gastrodon? Like, do I really care? Do I really... Like, what did this Gastrodon just do? This Gastrodon just used... I can't remember what... This Gastrodon just Helping Handed, didn't it? No, I'm going to Fake Out this Rillaboom. I don't care for this Rillaboom. Like, I don't care for this Gastrodon even. That's what I mean. Right, that's good chunk damage. Earth Power into hands isn't going to do tons, right? Nope. 80 damage is decent, but it's not huge. We're going to get a Lunar Blessing off, so it's going to be like that didn't even happen though, so... Cresselia is just so oppressive. I never got to play with Cresselia before, but hard TR Cresselia is actually so oppressive. It's like Gastrodon did nothing. And I'm moving before that Rillaboom, aren't I? So... And there's no more Grassy Surge, so Rillaboom's not getting any more HP back now. So I think the play here is just to punch this Rillaboom with Drain Punch, really. Like, yeah. Open Hand, Drain Punch into Rilla equals Sad Monkey. And then Copperajah can come back out and thrive again. Earth Power. Okay, that's a crit, right? Yeah. Awesome, my favourite. Special defense down. Yay! Well, the monkey's gone, so that's my Copperajah's biggest threat. Destroyed. Iron Hand's going to be back at, like, what, 144? So that's cool. We can bring Gary back out, expecting the Earth Power from this Gastrodon. This Gastrodon used Helping Hand. It does not have choice specs. I'm starting to convince myself that the Gastrodon is wearing a pair of spectacles. Okay, Flutter Mane's here. How long have we got left on PR? 2 turns. Right, so let's go Copperajah, and let's go... Actually... Let's go Copperajah this side and Heavy Slam this Flutter Mane, right? Yes. He doesn't know. The problem with Iron Hands is if it's Assault Vest, is it running Heavy Slam? Is it running Volt Switch? Is it running another move? Like, you don't really know. Helping Hands? Well, your Flutter Mane's not even going to get a go, sir, unless it's got a Focus Sash, so I'll be very upset when I see this. Oh, it has got the Sash! Somebody is running Focus Sash Flutter Mane! I love it. Okay, Iron Hands does not love that. Iron Hands is very sad for Pega right now. Big sad. Right, but the problem here is that my Crest can actually just come out, Moonblast that Flutter Mane for free. He doesn't want to switch his Urshifu into that either, so very sad for him. And I get to just kind of stomp this Gastrodon in whatever way I kind of please here. So I think, for the sake of it here, we're going to high horsepower this thing, and we're going to Moonblast this thing. So my Gyarados has Rocky Helmet, right? High horsepower, doing almost half to Gastrodon is huge. 70 there. Flutter goes down to a Moonblast, and then it's Urshifu and Gastrodon. And Urshifu doesn't even function with Gastrodon next to it. Well, it does actually. That's a lie. It just can only use close combat. So, kind of a useless choice. That's personal. So, I'm actually just going to Intimidate Swap here, and I'm going to reset Trick Room here. I think. Yes. Yes. And, like, so good. Intimidate into Urshi that can Surgeon Strikes is actually disgusting. Terra Urshifu, Terra Water. Does my opponent know that Storm Drain won't let him attack by this thing? Like, just seems like a very odd pairing to use. Like, why would you do this to yourself? Maybe he expected his Gastrodon to... Is he going to CC? Is that the plan here? We're not even going to actually do this. We're going to CC? No. My god, you have locked yourself into a horrible position. I hope you haven't got Choice Scarf on that thing. I mean, Gastrodon's special attack is going to grow, but like that literally means nothing because Gastrodon's got Helping Hand and Earth Power so far, and that's all I've seen. So, yes. So, let's go Thunder Wave, Urshifu, and I want to bring Copy back out, but I feel like I have to, like... I need to know if this Urshifu's locked into Surgeon Strikes, really. I'm a bit odded out here. So, like, Urshifu, and then Moonblast, Gastrodon. Like, I feel like that's a viable move here. I want to bring Copperajah in, but I don't want it to get killed by an Earth Power. Oh, my opponent just quits because he got locked. Copperajah taking names today.
Hundreds of lives.